Paul Ferris is one of Britain's most notorious faces. Known as the wee man because of his size, he's an unlikely hard man.
Well, I met Paul through my younger brother, and he knew that I was into jewellery robberies and things like that, and he asked to come on board. And I ended up, I've took him today a few, you know what I mean?
How did they work? What did you do?
Well, we used to go in, one of us would go in and would be dressed up and all that. We'd find me in a pair of glasses and suit and all that, and I would go in and ask to see a tray of rings, something like that. And I'd just run out the door with it, and Paul would be around the corner in the car, then he'd go and do the next one. And so that's how we started off, you know what I mean?
And what about the violence? Was it?
Well, we started getting into the city centre and things like that, and getting drunk, and we ended up in a lot of trouble with people, and we ended up carving out a reputation for serious violence. We were slashing people with Stanley blades in it, and we were actually called the Stanley Gang. But there was a lot of people trying to attack us, so we were just getting in there first. And we came to the notice of Arthur Thompson, and one night he'd asked to bring me, for me and Paul, to go to the prom mill inn. And Paul went and I never turned up, and that was the night he was recruited with the Thompson for it.
In 1991, Glaswegians Mick Healy and Ian MacDonald conspired to rob the NatWest Bank in Torquay.
I put a 6-man gang together who I believed would have the hold to make this successful. And while I was there, I was actually a cleaner, took a job as a cleaner.
In the bank?
So I was in the bank, yeah.
Okay, so what did you do then?
Well, what I did is I was monitoring the bank for about 2 months or something until I got the feel of what was going down, the deliveries to the bank, and it was Brink Smart. And on a Thursday they would come there, 3 in the street, and take in 18 bags. So while I was in the bank, I'd realised there was a bank vault and a bank vault on top, and I'd realised it was actually a storage bank. So I knew we were talking millions of pounds. And when I was a cleaner in the bank, I used to go up on top of it, and it was all bonds worth millions of pounds, but they'd all been cash, so I knew this is really, really big.
Okay, so you got your team together, and
Yeah.
who did that include?
My brother, Jim Healy, Blink MacDonald, Mickey Carroll, Rob Harper, and Thomas Garrigan.
Blink MacDonald was involved in crime from an early age and was a member of the Stanley Knife Gang with Paul Ferris. He got his nickname because his enemies said that he would shoot you in the blink of an eye.
The time I'd reached 30, I'd had a pub up in Springburn with the missus at the time, and Mick Keeley was on the run for the neck, and he came up to the pub, and he offered us, did I want to be in the team that was going to carry out a robbery in Torquay. It was £6 million, and it didn't take me long to say yes. And Mick went away, then he came back. Then we all travelled down to Torquay, and my missus at the time came down with my son, and we were all staying in a caravan park and painting. We were there for 2 weeks just posing as tourists while we were eyeing up this bank.
Well, what we did is we put ourselves in a 3-mile radius of the actual bank, and went about getting the getaway cars, firearms, bags for the cash, handcuffs to get certain people cuffed up, and tyres to tie them up in the bank. Because we knew it was going to take us about at least 30 minutes to hold in the bank.
Can you describe from sort of when they went into the bank?
The bank was we broken into during the night. So it was, because at that time in June 1991 there was no alarms or anything like that. And it was broken into during the night. And there was a hidey hole constructed at the back staircase where the vault was. And the staff came in the morning, they opened up the vault, and everybody jumped out, rounded up the bank staff.
We'd actually taken the bank manager into the bank brought him back out again. He said he didn't have the key for the bank vault. But we'd actually got into the vault, but there was a security part that nobody knew anything about. And that had actually stopped us from getting to the cash, and the security, what do you call them? The little silver boxes, deposit boxes. All them were on the left and the cash was on the right in the cages. And we were so close to it. And when we came out, I took an independent person out and asked that person to identify the person who's actually got the key of this. And that person had turned around and said, that person there, which was the person I had already in the bank vault in the beginning, which is the bank manager. So a female identified him as having the key. At that, I thought he might probably thinks we're having a joke, so I discharged the firearm. I basically told the person it's not a fucking joke.
Unable to get into the vault, the gang fled. Blink was arrested in the caravan park, but managed to escape and went on the run back up to Glasgow.
After 5 weeks, I came to this same restaurant where we're sitting just now, and my missus had came, and I came in half an hour after it, and she says to us, have you been followed? I went, don't be silly, you know what I mean? But 10 minutes later, a guy and a woman walked into this same restaurant and sat at the table next to us. And I says to her right away, I went, undercover cops. And she went, don't be silly, they're a lovely couple. So 3 hours later, the lovely couple were the first people jumped at this table here, right in top of us. And all the other diners, there was 5 guys posing as just celebrating, the thing with past his driving test, blah, 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 blah. Load of crap. They were cops and they were all armed. And about 10, 12 cops came in the front door, and I was lifted up and they're shouting, he's got a gun, and he's pulled the gun out. And I was going blue, and the wee Chinese guy ran out, and he must have seen it. I thought I was dying. And I thought he was going to say, look, you're going to kill the guy. And he shouted, who's paying the bill? And at that, they'd let go of my neck, and I've just put all the contents of my 3-course dinner and all my drink out free the Scottish Crime Squad. So it was one of the momentous moments in my criminal career and one of the saddest. Me putting the sick of the coppers in, getting carted away at the neck. And I get 2.5 years for the gun for being in the Chinese restaurant. And we ended up going to trial at Bristol. That collapsed, and we went to the Bailey. And I get 16 years, so I was doing 18.5 years.
And how old were you then?
30.
You know, you put on a brave face, but when that cell door shuts at night and you're 27 and you're lying there looking at the ceiling, how does 31 years feel like?
Hardcore, because I haven't lived that long. I was only 27. And when I went to the prison system in England, I found out, obviously, that I was in some ways either badder or indifferent, because I found myself looking around, looking for other people doing fixed sentences between 30 years and over, and there was only 14 out of 87,000 men. So that was quite difficult. Nobody killed, nobody shot.
Well, I was just thinking there, the Crow's got 30 years, didn't
Yes, and I got
and
31.
Got 31.
I got 31.
And nobody died.
Nobody died, nobody got shot, nobody got stabbed, nobody got injured. It was just the fact that it was money, and the fact that it was some Glasgow politics were pulled into the trial also.
But when we get sentenced, I always remember coming out of the Old Bailey, I was handcuffed to Mick. And he just got 19 years, added on to 12 years, and he was doing 31 years. And I was still trying to cope with my 16 and the 2.5 years I'd got. And I always remember saying to Mick, Christ, you're doing longer than the train robbers. I was doing 31 years. And me and Mick were walking around Belmarsh the next day. I always remember, even though it was 20 years ago, we were walking around Belmarsh, we were in the high security unit in there. And me and Mick were walking around the yard and saying, when is this black tunnel going to end? And I can laugh now about it, but at the time it wasn't a laughing matter. But we played for high stakes and we lost, so I've been banged up most of my life, you know what I mean? From I was a young boy, right through to an adult now, you know what I mean? It's not a life for anybody. Anybody that's in prison, they'll tell you. The time starts at 9 o'clock at night when the door shuts, when a prison cell shuts. And most people now think prison, they've got computers, they've got this, they've got that, TVs, but no, there's a lot of lonely nights spent in there.